Hey, I'm glad that you're here joining me today. I have this special place that I want to share with you that I kind of discovered the other night. The other night, I just had this kind of restless night. And I don't know if you have these or not, but it was one of those moments for me that I was kind of like, I don't really feel like going to bed yet, but I probably should be going to bed. And so I stepped outside on my deck, and it was just this absolutely beautiful night. I mean, the kind of night where the moon is full and makes everything glow, you know what I mean? And we're lucky enough to have these trails in behind our house for walking on that used to be railway tracks. And so I said, I'm gonna grab the dog and go for a walk. And so that's exactly what we did. And in the process of this, we came across this place. I mean, we walk this trail all the time, but we came across this place that I'd never noticed before. And today I want to take you there and share our time together. There's this story in Matthew chapter 11 that really has always bothered me every single time I read it. There's this guy by the name of John the Baptist, and I'm sure that that's probably not a new name to you, but I mean, John the Baptist was like Jesus' biggest fan. I mean, he's the very first person to ever start telling anybody that, Jesus was coming. He's the very first to kind of proclaim him as the Messiah. He's the guy who baptized Jesus. And even, in that story, there's this side part to it where, after he's done, there's this audible voice from heaven that comes down and said, "This is my son in whom I'm well pleased." I mean, John even sends some of his own followers to follow Jesus. But then in Matthew chapter 11, he sends somebody to ask Jesus if he is the one that they have been waiting for. I mean, how crazy is that John is having his doubts after everything that he has seen? I mean, everything that he has experienced himself. And yet that's just it, isn't it? I mean, expectation is a funny thing, isn't it? Have you ever gone to a movie or an event and, it was good. It's not like it was terrible, yet at the same time, you just found yourself totally disappointed in it because it wasn't what you were expecting? I think that was the source of John's question. Jesus wasn't doing what John thought Jesus should be doing. Isn't it weird what happens to us when things don't go according to our plans? Do you know how many people right now are mad at God? Mad at life in general because things aren't going as planned, because they can't see God, because they aren't seeing what they think they should be seeing, what they want to see. Did you know that John is in jail during this particular passage when he sends this guy to give this message to Jesus? Truth is, I think there's a deeper question going on here. I think John was asking, where are you, God, in the midst of my situation? I don't see you here. Have you ever been there? I know I have. Sometimes it's really hard to see God, isn't it? So, Jesus has to send back an answer to John. So he looks at this man who comes to him with this question, and he says this. He says, "Go back and tell John what you're hearing and what you're seeing." And he gives him all these examples. He's like, the blind are receiving sight, the lame are walking, those who have leprosy are being cleansed, the deaf are hearing, the dead are being raised. The good news is being proclaimed. But blessed is the one who does not stumble on account of me. And so Jesus gives this kind of profound answer to John. He says, if you want to see God, open your eyes, because John, God has always been right in front of you. I walk this trail all the time, and not once have I ever noticed this bench. I mean, how crazy is that when you stop and think about it? I mean, it's not like it's hidden. It's not like somebody comes out and like, puts a blind up every time that I walk down through here. The real only explanation for this is that somewhere along the way, every single time that I've gone down through here, my eyes have been somewhere else. Until the other night when I walked through and happened to notice it by moonlight. And I want to say this to you today. Sometimes the things that we are looking for are right in front of us, but we're looking in other places. I mean, how about you today? Are you struggling with doubt or disappointment? Are you fighting just to keep moving forward some days? Are you having a difficult time just kind of seeing the big picture? I want you to know I can totally identify with you. In fact, I don't think it's by mistake that at the end of this very chapter, Jesus looks at the people that he's been talking to and he says, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." It's like he wrote the words for us some days, or at least for me some days. I get these feelings sometimes, and I know there's some of you that probably are going to be weirded out by this, but I think there's somebody that needs to hear these words. And so if this is you, may you take this to heart. Friends, look up, because salvation is here, and it always has been. My prayer for you this week is that you might have the eyes to be able to see it, and the courage to be able to accept it. Because sometimes everything that you have been looking for, everything that you need most, it's not in some distant place. It hasn't disappeared on you. Sometimes everything that you've been looking for is right in front of you, and it has been the whole time. I wish you a great week. My name is Kevin, and I want to go deeper. How about you?